Hi, this is our presentation, Taking a Knee by Miles Smith and Nicholas Yu. Have you ever taken a moment and stepped back and observed this world around you? Today, we will be talking about the racial issues within sports. We will evaluate and sociologically examine Colin Kaepernick, a former NFL player, taking a knee during the national anthem. As you could see here, this is Colin Kaepernick taking a knee during the national anthem before a game. So what happened? Before an NFL football game, Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem as a sign of resistance against police brutality. He was fighting against police brutality and against the killings of innocent African Americans. At the time when he took a knee during the national anthem, he was kicked out of the NFL. But currently, he's trying to make a return. Through this one former NFL player's journey, we see that the situation ties into racial and ethical problems. Culturally, the norm is no matter what is going on in the world, we're supposed to respect the flag of this nation. But you could see that this norm is being broken. The audience, his fans, the society would have expected Colin Kaepernick to just deal with the police brutality. They would have wanted him to go on with playing like nothing serious happened. But he didn't. He knew that he had to kneel. He knew that he had to make a stand. From an audience's point of view, you would think that it would not benefit the National Football League. But you're wrong. It actually did benefit the NFL because it increased publicity, more eyes. The real person who was at the disadvantage was Colin Kaepernick. His career was gone, and quite frankly, he was replaceable. Additionally, he did not have enough fans to support him through the resistance. So currently, Colin Kaepernick is 32 years of age. He's played 6 years with the 49ers, and he has not played since 2016, so that's about 5 years.
Okay, now I'll be talking a little bit about the sources we use, a little brief history on protesting, and a timeline kind of what happened with Colin Kaepernick. Okay. Okay, so for the first source, it kind of mentioned more about Colin Kaepernick sitting on the bench during the national anthem, kind of like him starting the protest, kind of. And one of the quotes he had said was, "I'm not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that opposes black people and people of color." Kind of saying, like, why should he uh, respect the national anthem when the national anthem pretty much represents the USA, the country, and the country doesn't respect people of color. So that's kind of where he got that idea from. Uh, Colin Kaepernick also gave $1 million of his 2016 salary to help uh, the cause of Black Lives Matter, and kind of like a police brutality one because they had been killing a lot of unarmed black men. The next source was kind of talking about how he was getting a lot of attention of the fans and the NFL fans, like from him taking the kneel on the field. The original protest when it later came out, he started talking about it. It was a protest against systematic racism and treatment of minorities in the United States. So now he's kind of broadening the topic of not just only African Americans, but all minorities who get treated this way. And for him kneeling on the field that day, and he kept kneeling after that, he was actually benched uh, in one of the games. The New Orleans Saints, when they were playing them, he had got benched. And after they saw that happening in they seen Kaepernick still protesting. There were a lot of players that started to protest by sitting on the bench, kneeling, raising their fist during the national anthem. They wouldn't even come out to the field, or they would just wear different clothes and stuff, kind of like promoting what they were protesting against. A lot of BLM shirts, a lot of shirts like that. Uh, and this was another quote that he had said when asked about why he was protesting. And he says, "To know this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way." So that's kind of him saying, like, it would be messed up if he weren't acknowledging that African Americans were being killed in the United States. Kaepernick, he was praised a lot by the black community, of course, but he was also criticized for what he did by the NFL and by a lot of fans. Uh, in this one, it says that commentators viewed him as a champion for the First Amendment rights, but some commentators said his actions were un-American, and they were saying that they were un-American because the national anthem kind of represents our soldiers as well as the country. So it was like they were trying to say Colin Kaepernick was saying he didn't care about the soldiers and stuff like that, pretty much. Yeah, and you can see protest way before Colin Kaepernick, and one of the first ones was Muhammad Ali when he was rejected from his heavyweight title that he earned due to him not wanting to go fight in the war. Because during that time, you were allowed to draft uh, people to the war. So Muhammad Ali did not want to serve due to the race inequality that was going on because he had won gold and silver in the 1968 Olympics. So he's kind of seeing how African Americans are treated when they go to war and stuff like that. So he doesn't want to do that when he started a boxing career, and we all know how great he was at that. This is another example. It's called the Syracuse Eight. I don't know if too many people know about this one, but 8 African American football players were found absent from Syracuse University football team. They were found absent because of the discrimination against African American football players at their school. So they had boycotted practices and even the whole 1969 season. And you can search this up and still find it. It's not something that's talked about a lot, but I feel like it should be talked about more. And now we're gonna kind of get into like a timeline of when Colin Kaepernick started his kneel and through the journey into when he was out of the league. So you can see on September 11th, many NFL players, that's like when they started joining Colin Kaepernick in the protest as well. And because of that, Trump actually issued a statement about it, and he was kind of saying like basically Colin Kaepernick shouldn't be in the league if he doesn't want to respect the national anthem. Mm, and now you can see on September 22nd, Colin Kaepernick gets put on Time magazine, October 5th issue. September 27th, we can see Colin Kaepernick issuing a statement back to Trump, responding to his tweet that was basically saying Colin Kaepernick shouldn't be in the league. And then on October 7th, we can see that the 49ers did not actually re sign him back. And this was due to all the protests that he was doing on and off the field. On October 11th, he would make his return to the field, but he would pull out of the contract because of the coaches. And on March 18th, NFL teams say they don't want anything to do with him. And I think that's kind of because of all the bad media he was getting around him. And I don't think any of the programs or teams really wanted that around their team and all that uh, the bad publicity. Then you can see on August 25th, hundreds of supporters were crowded outside the NFL headquarters protesting to basically let Colin Kaepernick back into the league. And then on the 26th, Cowboy owners Jerry Jones locks arms and nails the team. So now you can kind of see like now that Colin Kaepernick is out of the league, you can see more people kind of trying to fight for what was right or fight like how Colin Kaepernick was doing, but they've kind of waited a little too late because he was alone at first. October 8th, you can see Colin says he still wants to play in the NFL, but no one really was interested in him. He was posting on social media too, showing that he's working out every single day, but they still didn't want anything to do with him. And then on March 12th, when the free agency opens and ends, Colin Kaepernick still was unsigned by anyone. And these were some disadvantages to kind of why he was kicked out of the league. Uh, Colin Kaepernick, one was disadvantaged because he was an African American male, and then also because of all the bad media that was first put out. Because if everyone was behind him in the beginning, then he probably would have never gotten pushed out because everybody you can't kick everybody out of the league. You can't bench everybody out of the league. But when it's just one person or a select group of people, they can just kind of get rid of them and keep going. And in conclusion, this is one of the very well known examples of professional athletes sticking up for what he believes in. Because after this, then you can see all of the BLM coming in place and Breonna Taylor, everything George Floyd. Now you see everyone in the league wearing Black Lives Matters, taking kneels, doing whatever they want. Last season, I believe, during the COVID season, was actually a dedicated one to Black Lives Matter, and you can see from the WNBA to the MLB to the NFL to the NBA that everybody was doing protests. Every single team, player, everybody. And this is just my bibliography. Thank you for watching the presentation.